So people are going to judge you. They're going to misunderstand you. They're going to gossip about you. But I encourage people to really be strong-willed, to know that their opinions don't matter. Their opinions are not your problem. No matter what is said or done, do not doubt your worth. Like I said, if you're not an athlete and you don't know what it's like to deal with the pressures, and I know we have a responsibility as athletes to deal with what's going to come with it, on a day-to-day basis. But every athlete is different. No two people are the same or alike, and that's why you see some people are able to really rise above and beyond their circumstances, and there are some people that can't handle it. But that doesn't mean that they can't be great. They just have to approach it and deal with it the way that they feel needed.
What would you say to somebody who's feeling misunderstood right now and just needs to find a way to keep going?
At some point in life, we're all going to struggle. And I think that's what you're getting to. We're going to be confronted with something. Those roadblocks can come in different forms. It can be your own mental roadblocks. It could be just outside criticism. It could be media. It could be anything. It could be personal problems. It could be family problems. It could be something as simple as you driving. You're on a path and you're feeling good, and you're driving somewhere and you get a flat tire. Anything can trigger you and to try to get you off track. Those are struggles. And then just from an athletic standpoint, that's going to happen. And it's really how you respond to it. I'm not saying anything that nobody else has said, especially that has become successful, whether it's in business, personal, it's in sports. And then when we talk about just the criticism, and especially if you're an athlete, and I know mental health and awareness, that's big now. Think about what Naomi Osaka has gone through. Look at, obviously with Sha'Carri Richardson, we don't know how that's going to affect her right now. There's so many people, Kevin Love. There's so many athletes that are struggling with mental health. That are, some athletes are brave enough to talk about it, but I guarantee you, there's a number of athletes that don't have that strength to come forward. They're just going to try to deal with it how they feel to deal with it. But at the end of the day, just don't give up. That's what I would say. And especially with these athletes, especially Naomi Osaka. I think I chimed in. I commented on once I heard what they did to her. With her dealing with the media and how she approached it, they don't know how she feels. And I think instead of them rejecting her, I think they should embrace her because I think the tennis world, they I guess the committee, that ruled her or wanted to fine her for whatever, which caused her to withdraw from that tournament. I think at the end of the day, the tennis world, the fans, they missed out more than anything. And obviously for Naomi, it wasn't about money. Because clearly, like I said, she had won that first match. And so, yeah, she could have extended or she could have dealt with it. But obviously her mental health is more important than the dollar. And I think that's priceless. And so people are going to judge you. They're going to misunderstand you. They're going to gossip about you. But I encourage people to really be strong-willed, to know that their opinions don't matter. Their opinions are not your problem. No matter what is said or done, do not doubt your worth. And I think that's what Naomi has done. I think obviously with the outpour support, I think it reinforced to her and reiterated that she made the right decision. And I think once everybody, again, like I said, if you're not an athlete and you don't know what it's like to deal with the pressures, and I know we have a responsibility as athletes to deal with what's going to come with it, on a day-to-day basis. But every athlete is different. No two people are the same or alike. And that's why you see some people are able to really rise above and beyond their circumstances. And there are some people that can't handle it. But that doesn't mean that they can't be great. They just have to approach it and deal with it the way that they feel needed.
Terrell, I think that's really powerful. I think when I think about your legacy, there's the game and we've got the highlights and we got our popcorn ready. We saw what you did. But I think that this message that just, that idea of when we don't necessarily understand someone, we can reject them or accept them. And I think that message right now, boy, does that need to come through loud and clear. And I appreciate you bringing it up. When did you start to believe in the impossible? Like, when did you feel like I got a shot at this NFL thing? When did that really take hold of you?
I didn't really know, honestly. Probably like once I got to the National Football League, once I got drafted coming out of college. I was drafted in the 3rd round, 89th pick. I remember being drafted by the Niners. My first year, going into training camp, we were in Rockland, and that's where, like I said, I was there with, and played with, a very storied franchise in the Niners. When you think about Super Bowl championships at that time, I think what 5 championships, playing with the great Steve Young. Prior to that, they had Joe Montana, obviously Jerry Rice. My rookie year, they were coached by George Seifert, who's obviously a Hall of Fame great coach as well. And so for me, it was a bit overwhelming. But as I progressed throughout training camp, and training camp that was probably one of the hardest things that I had gone through at that time, in comparison to the training camps that are now being implemented. We had 2-a-days, and it was out in Rockland. It averaged probably like 100 to 105 degrees every day. So just think about just doing that twice a day, with maybe a couple of hours of sleep in between those practices. It was very, very tough. It was brutal. I remember those days. But that was where I think a lot of character was built. Because again, at that age, being a young guy, being a rookie, seeing guys as training camp progressed week by week, and then as they began to make cuts, as the season approached, you saw guys get cut left and right. And so I saw guys that were drafted, free agents that had come in. They were coming and going every day. And I felt like I was no different or better than any of those guys that were getting cut. When I saw guys that were, that I felt was better than me get cut, it made for a very intense and overwhelming environment for me. So I just kept pressing and just kept forging ahead, and things started to work out for me as the season approached. And my coaches kind of just pulled me to the side, because there were some days where I kind of hit the wall. I struggled, catching the ball, remembering routes, the playbook with the Niners. I mean, it looked like, I think I remember telling a reporter, it reminded me of a cookbook, very considering what I came from, with a couple of pages of my playbook in Chattanooga. So it was very, very extensive. The terminology was very confusing at times, challenging at times. But like I said, at the end of the day, I ended up getting through it. And my coaches, they helped me through it. They saw the potential, understanding that when I came out, I had the prototypical body of some of the receivers that they've had there in San Francisco. Prior to me being there, they had some great receivers aside from Jerry Rice. They had John Taylor. They had, I think, Mike Sherrard. The year before I got drafted, they had the number 1 receiver that played at UCLA. They drafted him first pick, I think, in '95, J.J. Stokes. And so these are the type of guys that I had to learn from.
Can you walk us into that Super Bowl? Because I think this is where, in some ways, you're misunderstood. I think the selflessness of the way you dedicated yourself to your game, to your team, to your teammates, to big moments. Can you walk us into what it took to play essentially on a broken leg 5 weeks after getting pins in it? To me, one of the iconic moments that I can remember in sports. What was that time like for you?
It's something that I've had to adjust to as I guess I was on my path to stardom. And I had 3 receiver coaches throughout the course of my career that were very, very instrumental in really just pushing me really kind of beyond the limits of what they thought I could become. They saw it, and sometimes even I had doubt that I could be, considered at the end of the day, one of the greatest receivers of all time. Like, I played with Jerry Rice, coming out of Chattanooga in '96, 3rd round, 89th pick. I had no idea at the end of the day, 15 years later, that I would be second, third all time, in statistics. But behind, like I said, the greatest of all time. There were so many guys that played at, Power 5 schools, definitely first, second round guys that got drafted before me. Honestly, I really had no idea. Which, like I said, when you think about some of the things that I've accomplished, the Super Bowl was one of those games. I said, obviously to play in the Super Bowl, that's a big accomplishment in itself. It wasn't the Super Bowl that I envisioned, considering the injury that I had sustained probably 6.5, 7 weeks prior to the Super Bowl, when a lot of people, even, doctors across the country, basically said that there was no way I would have played in that Super Bowl. Honestly, I mean, you have a relentless pursuit of really just perfection, greatness. But at the end of the day, I think anybody that wants to become or do something in life, obviously it boils down to my 3Ds: desire, dedication, and discipline. But at the end of the day, the essence of what I just said, you have to be addicted to bettering yourself. Honestly, be addicted to bettering yourself, not for anybody else or anything else. You have to be addicted to bettering yourself if you want to achieve the level of success that you ultimately want to achieve.